Hi guys, welcome back to The Contented Plant. Today we are propagating my string of hearts. She is beautiful and so long. This plant loves this living room. You can see I have these really large windows on the other side of this living room, and the afternoon sun comes up and it just makes this whole room really hot and dry, which is perfect for string of hearts. So I bought this plant at the beginning of the year. It was only about this long. It was really scraggly looking. Honestly, I was kind of worried it was sick or infested because it just did not look good, but it just needed a little bit of TLC, and this is all the new growth that it has put on since the beginning of the year. So I'm gonna propagate these out because the plant that I have right now only has about 3 strings on it, and I would like it to have a much fuller curtain coming down. I keep it on the side of my fireplace here, and it just creates a nice little curtain of string of hearts, and I just love this plant. So let's propagate it and make some more. There's a lot of different ways that you can propagate string of hearts. They're actually incredibly easy plants to propagate, which is really nice. They're not too finicky. Honestly, some people will just plant it right back into moist soil and that will do just fine. I'm going to show you 2 different methods. One I've used before that I really like, and that is just a straight water propagation. The thing I like about this is you can actually see how the roots are growing, how big they are, and that seems to be pretty successful. So I will do one in the water propagation, and then I'm going to do one in my Tupperware here. Yeah, it's a sandwich Tupperware, but it works really well for propagation. So that's what I'm going to use it for, with some damp sphagnum moss that I have water and then a drop of the Super Thrive in it as well, just to give those little propagations something to eat out of the moss. So what I'm going to do for my water propagation, I think I'm going to cut it right about here, and this spot right here where these leaves were, it will start to grow new roots from there. So take your clean, sterile scissors, give it a cut, and then I'm just gonna place this directly into water here. Make sure that none of the leaves are gonna be submerged in the water so they don't rot. You can clip these 2 off. I'm just gonna leave them there, but honestly, I'm just gonna fill this with water. I might do 1 more, and those will grow roots probably within 3 weeks. I have them in a nice bright window, and I change the water probably once every 2 weeks. And sometimes I don't change it all the way. What I'll do is I'll either spritz the water or give it a little bit of fresh water, because that puts oxygen into the water and it really helps those roots develop when they have fresh oxygen in the water. Okay, so I'm gonna add my 3rd set in here, and you can see none of the leaves are gonna be down in the glass touching the water, which is what I want. And then I'm just gonna fill this up with some water and make sure that all of those growth points are actually down in the water touching it. These can tend to fall out, so I place them up against the window and then I just don't touch them so that they don't fall out of that little propagation. It's actually a shot glass, but it works really well. So I will leave this in my nice sunny window, and it will just grow roots within 3 weeks or so, and then I won't plant this until the roots are about 2 inches long. Okay, so we are gonna move on to our Tupperware propagation. Honestly, you could do this with moist soil. I'm gonna use sphagnum moss that has a little bit of Super Thrive in it, just because it's nice and simple and it's easy to keep that humidity up. It also holds water a really long time, so you can get away with kind of putting these somewhere and forgetting about them for a few months. We're gonna use a clear container so that we can see the root growth happening underneath the propagations and make sure that we are successful. So I'm gonna go ahead and fill these with moss. You don't want your moss to be soaking wet, so go ahead and squeeze out some of that excess water before you put it in here. You want it to be nice and springy and a little bit damp, but not too damp. And I'm just gonna layer it probably 1.5 inches or so at the bottom. So what I'm gonna do, just to experiment a little bit, I'm going to do moist soil in this one, and then I'm gonna leave these 2 with the sphagnum moss, and I will do a follow-up so we can all see how these propagate together. Okay, so I put a little bit of succulent potting mix right in here, and what I'm gonna do is just spritz it so that the top of it is slightly moist, and that will encourage the cuttings to root for me. So I actually got this method from another YouTuber that I will link down below, and I thought it was so smart. I think she called this the butterfly method. So what we're gonna do is we are going to cut in between the set of leaves here, just about like that. And we're just going to lay this right down in that damp moss. Okay, so I'm all done. I have 3 up here in this little corner of moss. I have 3 rooting in soil and about 5 in the larger section of moss here. So that's it. There is the water propagation method that I'm using, soil and sphagnum moss. And like I said, I will do an update. I'm actually gonna repot my original string of hearts plant because it's still in its nursery pot. And I would like to take it out of there and rearrange it so that I can get it the exact amount of fullness and trailing the way that I want it to trail. So I will do an update video when these guys are ready to be planted, and we will do that together. I hope this video helped you guys out. I'm gonna put probably a Ziploc bag over the top for the first couple weeks just to encourage a little extra humidity so they root a little bit faster, and I will keep this in a bright spot. Same with these guys. They're gonna sit up on my kitchen windowsill where they get about 5 hours of bright indirect morning light. And that's where I had them last time, and they rooted really fast. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and found it helpful. Let me know if you guys have tried any other propagation methods. I would love to know how they worked for you. Otherwise, please like and subscribe, and we will see you next time at the Contented Plant. Bye-bye.